Welcome back to Breezing Through. I'm Emily. Okay, so I talked last week about the chair that I built for my daughter for the new space I'm building in her room. And today, I've not got the space done yet, so give me another week and then it'll be done. But today, I'm going to talk about how I'm organizing all this stuff, because really the purpose of creating this space was she has a lot of stuff, and I've talked about it before. She's autistic, and one of her special interests is collecting things. She likes little figurines, and so we have so many of them. And if you think about it, a typical 8-year-old would outgrow certain things, and you donate them or put them in storage and move on and have other toys. We're not doing that, which is fine. We just need somewhere to put all this stuff. She also loves to make books and artwork, and so I'm building a desk and cubbies. Point being, need to organize. So for her birthday, my mom got my daughter a bunch of organization stuff. I know, thrilling for an 8-year-old. She got other stuff too, don't worry. But so I'm going to show you how I'm sorting through everything, how I'm deciding what goes where, how I'm deciding what I'm keeping, because there's some stuff I got rid of, and then how I am labeling it. I love labeling things. I've never done a YouTube video on my labeling, but I'm going to go into full detail on that today because it is so important for my mental health, but I also think it's going to be really helpful for my daughter for when she needs to clean stuff up, because she hates cleaning up. And I think a big part of that is not knowing where to put things. And so having everything labeled so she can go, oh, that's where that goes, or that's where that goes, it'll be so much easier. So let's get started.
Admittedly, this was a really, really bad mess, but this is what we're starting with. So obviously I needed to start going through all of her papers and books and all of the little things that she's accumulated. She really likes to make paper dolls and creatures. This started when we were in Argentina, and she did not have access to all of her toys because we left most of them in the US when we were gone, but she just has them all over and there's trash everywhere. So the first thing I had to do was go through all of that. And admittedly, it took me months to actually get up the courage to do this entire project because of all of the stuff that needed to happen in order to make the cubbies and the desk and just make the space. And so organizing stuff was very overwhelming at first. So once I'd gotten all of the papers at least taken care of, I then started sorting the toys. My mom got her these drawers off of Amazon. I will link them on the blog post for this, and they're awesome. They stack on top of each other. You can do different configurations. We figured out the best configurations for the cubbies, so the most sets of drawers that will fit in each cubby. And then I just started sorting toys into drawers. I tried to sort them based on type of toy, category, TV show they're from, things like that. So I've got Disney princesses. So all the Disney princesses go in one drawer. She's got Octonauts, so they all go together. We've got the kind of toddler looking Disney princesses that we got when she was really little. I think she was 2 when I got her those, that she has loved since she was 2 years old. They go in a separate drawer, and so on and so on. You thought that there were only the stuff on that table. There's so much more stuff. So I just kept sorting and sorting and sorting and sorting. And this did take quite a bit of time. Have I asked her to help me? Yes. Does that go well? No. Reminder, she is autistic, and cleaning up her stuff and going through her stuff is incredibly overwhelming for her. So for the most part, I do it. This entire process, though, is to help her moving forward and being able to clean up her own stuff and keep stuff more organized so that we don't end up in another situation like this. For the most part, we are keeping all of this stuff. There are some things that I was able to get rid of. It really was stuff that she has not played with in months/years. Obviously, all the toys that you see here, we are keeping because she's very attached to all of them. But there was some stuff that was junk or broken, or all of that paper that I ended up recycling. Or there were toys that I know she has not played with that I removed from her room. And for the most part, when I take stuff out of her room, I hold on to it for about a year in a different room in a bucket so that she can't see it. And if she asks for it, I give it back to her. If she doesn't, then I donate it. Once all of the little toys were organized and sorted, I then moved on to her art supplies because I am also creating a desk space for her. And so I went and I got the art carts together, and all of that stuff is going to be sorted into another set of drawers. My mom also got her these. They're 2 sets of drawers. They're really good for pens, markers, pencils, scissors, glue, tape, all of that stuff. And that just takes this art cart out of the closet under the stairs, which is now where I am storing a bunch of the bigger toys and some of the outside toys, just because now with 2 kids, and they're both getting older, we need more space under that closet. So once I was done sorting everything and organizing it all, it was time to make labels. My favorite way to make labels is with my Cricut. I have a Cricut Explore 3, and I like using my Cricut to make labels because you can make the labels whatever size you want, which is much different than with a label maker where they all come out the same size. I also can do different colors and different fonts, and it just gives me a lot more flexibility. So first I just sat down and I wrote down all of the different labels that I needed, and then I started sorting them by color. So the blue ones were for the office supplies. The black ones were for a set of containers that all of her like notebooks and paper and all of that stuff go in. And then the purple ones are for her toy drawers, and the green ones were for the bags that we had that we're using as containers for other stuff as well. I then resized all of the labels based on the size of the drawer or the container that they were going on, and then I started printing them out on the Cricut. With the Cricut, you have everything set up and then hit create, and then you decide what material you're using. And since I have the Explore 3, I can use smart vinyl. So it's just a roll of vinyl. I don't need a mat, and it does all of the work for me. It's really great. I can just set it and walk away. I do have to change out the color every time it's done with that set. So that is the one downside, but otherwise it's pretty easy to do. I can walk away. And like I said, I can make these whatever size, whatever color I want. I'm not reliant on the restrictions of a label maker. I honestly would have liked to do these all one color, but I didn't have enough of one color and decided I didn't want to buy any more materials for this. So I just used the colors I had. I used black, green, and orange, and I used black for both the drawers and the labels on the boxes for her art supplies. Once all the labels were cut, I then weeded out all of the extra pieces of vinyl that I didn't need and got them prepped to put onto each container and drawer. In order to put these labels onto the containers or the drawers, you need to use the transfer tape. Now, I have bought a very large roll of off-brand transfer tape, and I have used the Cricut transfer tape. The off-brand transfer tape is terrible. Don't buy it. Don't waste your money. I know that the Cricut transfer tape is a little bit more expensive, but it is reusable, so you can use it over and over and over and over and over again, and it actually works. The off-brand ones just do not work well. So that is my 2 cents on that. I then started doing the transfer. So I just cut several large pieces of the transfer tape to fit onto the larger labels. And then as I did those, after I was done with those, I then cut those larger pieces down so that they would fit on the smaller pieces. That way I was not wasting any of the transfer tape. The process for this transfer is pretty easy. You put the transfer tape on top of the word or label or whatever you're doing. Make sure you use the tool, this flat tool that I have, and rub the back of it and then peel off the vinyl backing. So you just have the phrase or label or whatever on the transfer tape, and put the transfer tape onto the container or the drawer. Use that tool again. Make sure everything is pressed on really nicely, and then remove the transfer tape. It can take a little bit of work sometimes because sometimes some of the letters want to come up depending on the material you're using. You can see that with these plastic bags, it was a little bit harder to get the transfer tape off without removing the letters as well, as opposed to when I did the drawers, it came off super easily. As I was doing this, I did realize there were some labels that I did miss printing out. Either I forgot about them or I didn't even catch them in the first place. So I'm going to have to go back and reprint those and add them, but that shouldn't be a big deal. Now all the labels are done and everything is organized. There are still a few things that I need to organize, and I still have a few bags left to put stuff in, and there are a few empty drawers that I can put stuff in as well. So I do need to finish with some of that organization, but this is the framework that I'm working with, and I think it's a good start. So now I'm going to show you what each set of containers looks like in the cubbies. Be aware, the cubbies are not done. They just have primer on them. They don't have paint on them. The tape is still there. So I'm just putting them in to show you for reference. So first up are the hard plastic containers that are her desk items. So like activities, stickers, books, blank paper, stuff like that. I probably could have fit more in here if I had stacked them horizontally as opposed to vertically. But in order to make it easier for her to access everything, I am stacking them like this. Next up are the sets of drawers. There are 5 drawers here, 4 of the more square ones, and then 1 of the longer ones. And I could probably scoot these back further, and that would give her some space to open the drawers and it stay in the cubby. And then for the bags, I've got these 3 magnetile bags. I can actually probably fit 6 bags in one of these cubbies. I just don't need to at the moment.
All right, that is so much better. Obviously, that beginning part was very overwhelming. When we got back from Argentina, I had a really hard time going in her room for several months because it just gave me so much anxiety. But now everything's so much more organized. I'll be putting it in the cubbies as soon as they are done. So you'll see that next week, hopefully. But let me know what you think in the comments. And of course, if you like this video, be sure to like and subscribe so you can see more videos like this. And I will see you next time.